Welcome to our school board tonight. We are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much for coming. It's an exciting night for us anytime that we have students in the building, so we're happy to have you guys here. Do we have any translation needs? Okay, I don't think so. At this time, I will accept a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I second it.
Motion made and seconded. Motion passed to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. We will move on to our board recognition.
Yeah, we're excited tonight to have a number of Hiawatha Thunderbirds here, students and staff and their families. And so I'll introduce Principal Will Von Brockton. He'll tell you a little bit about our special guests that are here this evening.
Well, I'm not going to talk much. I'm going to invite Ms. Ochoa and Mrs. Schutte and Mr. Smith up. These are our Mathis School coaches. They've dedicated a whole bunch of time to these students who think math is cool enough to stay after school and practice for a lot of months, and they get really excited about going and competing. So I'm going to let the coaches come up and brag a little bit and share how our Mathis School students did, because they did better this year than we've ever had. So we've had a lot of success in the past, but this is the most successful year we've had so far. So come on up, teachers, and then do you want all the students behind you while you talk? Yeah, students, why don't you guys come up and line up behind your teachers? They're going to be right here.
Make a line, linear fashion. Come on. Linear.
Two-step verification.
All right. My name is Mr. Smith. This is my second year as a Mathis School coach. I do want to highlight the 6th grade Mathis School team. We went to regionals. We've been practicing since October. Our regionals got moved up this year, actually, so it was a little bit of a time crunch. It got moved up to February this year, when usually it's a little bit later. So practice was pretty intensive. These students have worked tirelessly. They've stayed after school every Monday for about an hour, going through high school math problems, to mental math, to teamwork, and so on and so forth. At regionals, we placed second, which was a exciting feat for these 6th graders. So yeah, give yourself an applause. With that, we were unsure if we were going to Masters. Last year we went to Masters, which is kind of our state competition, but we scored well enough within the region to then, for a second year in a row, to go to our state competition in Moses Lake and place and go to Masters. So that's really exciting for Hiawatha, especially our 6th grade team. So another round of applause to these amazing 6th graders and their hard work. I do want to pass it off to our 5th grade coach so she can make a couple of comments, or Mrs. Ochoa. This is Mrs. Ochoa's last year. I know we keep saying that, but this is her last year. She's going to be around. Sure.
I just want to interrupt for just 1 second. The live feed, the audio went out, and just so we can recognize the students, we're just going to take a 30-second pause while our tech people try and figure that out, just so people can hear the whole story.
Sure.
That'll be all right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maybe we can do some mental math while we're waiting.
We'll also accept anyone who would like to sing. Anybody want to do a solo, Azaro?
No. Nothing want to say?
He stepped out.
Awesome. How about yours? Who designed the sweatshirts? Huh? That doesn't surprise me. She's awesome.
Can we make sure he's an amazing shake next year?
I know.
Yep.
I don't know how I didn't make it.
I don't either.
I don't either.
He said Miss Ochoa designed the sweatshirt. She was my art teacher in junior high a long time ago.
My sixth grade teacher. Yep. Are you going to still coach golf? Oh, good. She was also my golf teacher, or my golf coach, and my daughter's golf coach.
She's my trap teacher. So, Mrs. Ochoa, how do we do it to get a few of these sweaters for the?
I know. How do I get one of those? There you go. Do we have to pass a math test? Because we'd be in trouble. At least. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Yeah, love those.
I want one, but I don't know if I want to give out my size.
Extra small.
Yes. Well, they should have paired him with Fluffy this weekend. Was it? They didn't want to take me. They were going to mistake me for Fluffy, I think. If I get a Hawaiian shirt, we could probably make that work.
This is welcome to a school board meeting, bro.
We're sorry about that, Aiden. We'll do better next time. But the technical part of it is that the video will all be online for people to observe and appreciate, but we wanted to make sure that they also had a live in case you have family that are home watching. So we're good to go now. So sorry for the interruption.
No worries. Like I was saying, this has been an incredible sixth grade team. I do want to mention that last year, going to state, Hiawatha for the first time did place first in Masters with second in a team event as well. So we're hoping to go to Moses Lake this year and repeat with the fabulous team that we have. And yeah, we're really excited. So thank you again. I'm going to hand it off to Mrs. Schutte to talk about our fifth grade Math to School team. So thank you to the sixth graders. You've done awesome.
Yes.
Okay, so I had that team last year, and I'm so glad they're standing here with us tonight because we were robbed last year. And our first day of practice, I told these guys I'm here to win. They won. So I can't say how proud I am of them. They worked hard every Monday night since October, just like sixth grade, an hour after school. They showed up, they worked hard, they respected one another, and they just did amazing. I'm very proud. So I'm excited that fifth and sixth all get to go on to state. So.
Sorry to mention, in our regional competition, we also did have individual placers. So how this works for Math is Cool is your individual score also contributes to your team score, and then your team score contributes to the whole school. And so we did have Truman Beeling. He placed fourth, so that was awesome for Hiawatha. And then Thomas Giles, you placed fifth, right? And then Thomas Giles, you placed fourth. Is that correct? You got second. We placed a lot. Thomas got second, and I believe Truman got fourth. So there we go. Yeah. Okay, fifth and third? Okay, fifth and third.
I remember. Sawyer Reichert, she placed 5th, and Reagan Harris, she placed 2nd for individual.
Will. We already made it awkward enough. Parents, thank you for coming and thank you for staying with us. You're welcome to stay for a long board meeting, or you can.
BMW X4. It's like a mini mom car. It's like a year old already. I know, Benjamin. It's a limo.
Oh. You can stick around for the rest of the meeting.
Yeah,
He's
cool.
the one. Yeah.
I want him to take my job. He's gonna do everything.
Thank you so much for coming. That really made our night. And congratulations. Good luck at state, Hiawatha Thunderbirds. Good luck.
Oh, there he is. He's hiding in the corner.
I think it's Aiden.
She said she would come.
That girl. It's okay.
I don't know. Aiden what? Aiden.
He's a cool kid.
Great kid. Okay, thank you again for our Thunderbird Math is Cool team. We appreciate them coming in. We're going to move on to board member discussions. So in Aiden's words, this doesn't get too awkward and quiet. We're going to go to Director Aaron Gerber for our legislative report.
Yep, so the legislative session is still happening. As you know, they have a bunch of bills at the beginning and they just kind of get whittled down as ones don't pass on to the next committee, on to the next session. There are still two that WASDA, well, there's a lot they're keeping track of, but the two main ones that WASDA is keeping track of is an MSOC bill and a SPED funding bill. So those are both still alive, still waiting to hear on if those pass and still supporting those. All the rest that they had kind of on their list of ones to watch didn't make it. But these are two of the big ones that we're still hoping will pass through. So, yep.
Great. Thank you for that, Director Gerber. Next on our agenda is to discuss the possible alternate spring and summer board meeting schedule. I know in the spring it's a busy time for everyone. Seems like all of our kids or grandkids are having tons of activities in the evenings in the spring. So in the past, we've moved our meetings to be in the afternoon versus at night. So what do you guys think? Do you want to move to afternoon meetings?
What time would that be at?
Pete, do we usually do them at 1? I can't remember.
We did have a schedule where we were doing them right after lunch. There was also a discussion that perhaps we wait till 3:30 or 4 when staff are typically off in their regular school day, but so just move it up a couple of hours. But we're certainly flexible on what, we have new board members, so I think it's important that we balance that. But if the student reps, if we did schedule them at 1, it would mean us excusing you from class for that time to be here. So we would handle that.
We'll make sure the board meetings are like 3 hours long and end at the lake.
Miss 4th,
Just
5th,
kidding.
practice.
Just kidding,
Yeah.
just kidding.
Everything's out. Yeah. On Mondays, I have here, so school, then after school practice, and then practice FBLA, and then FBLA come back to here. Yeah, so it's pretty.
I
full.
think 1 o'clock is what he's trying to shoot at.
Yeah.
Not what I got from there. For me, 1 o'clock would work, just with games and chasing kids around and everything else. I think that would work, but I don't know about staff. We'd still want to make sure we got input for them, so.
So I saw a couple head nods. We can, we'll connect with our labor management partners, OEA, PSC, and some others, and say, hey, this is what we're thinking about a board meeting schedule. Just wanted to run that by them and get some feedback, and then I'll report back to the board.
Okay. And we usually start that in May?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. And go through the summer?
Right. We were usually running it up and through August, sort of the first or second meeting in August once school gets going.
Yep, perfect. All right, thank you. We also, as a school board, have sad but exciting news that we have an open board position. And it's in our District 2, and we have that listed for people to apply. So anyone who is interested, or anyone that you know that could possibly be interested that lives in District 2, please encourage them to apply. We have up here our schedule, and it looks like the 28th, is that when it closes? Sorry.
It would actually close
The 14th?
just after spring break on the 14th.
Okay.
Yep. What we were waiting for this evening was this conversation to make sure the board is comfortable with the timeline. We have communicated already with the Columbia Basin Herald. We'll get this on our website starting tomorrow. We've already received a few phone calls in my office for people who are expressing interest, and I think it encourage board members or staff members or community to reach out and ask the questions that they need to ask so that we can get some folks that are interested in supporting the work.
Perfect. Thank you.
And the map of the district can be found on the website too, right?
The map can be found on the website, and the few phone calls that we've taken have really been about that. Hey, I live here, and is that my district? Am I eligible?
Will that be put on our website, the map?
The map is on there, so we can make sure we put a direct link so people can find it easily. Yep. And then again, if you should encourage people to reach out if they still have a question about whether or not they're in the right area.
Okay. Is there anything left on board member discussion that the board would like to discuss?
Yes, I have something I'd like to bring up. Last week I had the opportunity to go through CV Tech again, the school up in Moses Lake, and we have quite a few students that go up there. It was a really nice visit. As soon as I walk in the door, I was met by 3 students from the nursing department. And after I got walking around, found out 2 of them were from Othello, and got talking to the instructor there, and not just the one instructor, but probably multiple, 3 or 4 instructors got to talk to, and they said some of their best students come out of Othello because they're committed to the classes up there, and that was really nice to hear. All of them, all the different classes had their own presentations as you went through them and stuff. And the culinary class even did a large buffet, had a lot of different finger foods, desserts, and everything else. And after the meeting, there was a couple that I really liked. So I went back in the kitchen afterwards, and they were having their little powwow back there, going over how everything is, and got to talk to the instructor, and come out to find out that my favorite little dessert I liked was actually produced by 2 Othello students. So one of these times I would like to get some of our CB Tech students to possibly come in and have a little presentation, and hopefully they could bring their little desserts by too.
That would be great.
And it would be nice to hear from them. It was really encouraging to hear from their instructors and tell me how well the Othello students do.
We welcome all desserts always, so that would be great. Thank you, Ken. Do you have anything, Azaro?
Sugar-free, please.
What?
Sugar-free.
Sugar-free. Okay. I accidentally skipped over our student representative reports. I apologize. So we'll turn it over to our students.
So far, we just, again, athletics just started up. So track, tennis, girls and boys golf, softball and baseball came up. We just recently had, I think 9 boys go up to, I think it's somewhere past Cle Elum, like all the way 4 or 6 hours away. and we had 2 of our kids come out MVP of the game.
Wow.
Aiden Garza, Marissa's son. Woo! Yes, also my juniors. Juniors on top. Woo! And then we recently did our ASB elections and ran our new ones for the next year. I'm the ASB president. Woo!
Yay!
And
I'm
this is
ASP secretary.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Love our leaders.
We're taking over again. If you aren't already sick of us. Recently, too, Jer Lynn, she graduated last year from CB Tech, and I know that where she did in the program, she was able to qualify for some kind of regional contest, and she did win. She won like a special apron. It was kind of like the Master Chef Junior type of thing, and they actually had it over here. So CB Tech, I know like some of my friends in there too who are there for mechanics and welding as well. They do a lot of work. It's intensive too. We have to do hours, and sometimes if you miss school days, you go in on Saturdays, Sundays. So that's a really good program that I like as well. I just wanted to highlight their students, and we're super busy, so y'all hear a lot from us later as we go on.
Great. And are both of you attending NSBA?
Yes.
Great. Love that. Do you guys have anything else?
No, not so far.
No? Okay. We will move on in our agenda to item C1, required approvals. At this time, I will accept a motion to approve required approvals.
I'll make a motion to approve required approvals.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. And at this time, we will turn the time over to Dr. Perez for superintendent informational items.
Yeah, just one quick item aside from the financial report is an update on the assistant superintendent position here in the school district. I know we did put out a statement to our staff, and Jessica Schenk, our current assistant superintendent, we're excited to announce that she was selected as the next superintendent in the Mount Baker School District. And so, yeah, Miles, there you go. Mrs. Schenk and will be relocating to that area in Western Washington. So we're excited for her and what that means for her and her family, and look forward to continuing our collaboration with her. But really what that means for us is to consider the transition in our own system around leadership and executive leadership. So the job has been posted. We posted on all the common platforms in the state of Washington to draw candidates, and we'll collect applications from outside the district and within the district through spring break. And then after spring break, we'll get some folks together to evaluate the applicants and talk about a process for selecting the next level of leadership in the Othello School District. So just an update for the community to acknowledge and celebrate Jessica's achievement, and also to say, we've got a plan in place to continue the work and keep it moving forward.
Great. Thank you. Now we will have our special presentation from Hiawatha. Thank you guys so much for coming.
They're so excited to be here today, and they were all really relieved that they could sit down. Yep. Well, we're grateful to the board for taking the time to come to Hiawatha last Monday, a week ago, and spend some time with us, hear from staff, with certificated and classified staff, as well as doing some walkthroughs and hearing from administrators and asking us questions and just being able to connect with you all. And we're grateful for this opportunity to share the work with you. I mentioned that I was really intentional about trying to pick a date later in the year to report, and that's really because this has been a really crucial year for us at Hiawatha, and we knew it would be. We've been doing a lot of work, and our staff's been working really hard in the years past at being intentional about what we were working on and why we're working on it, and deciding which levers we're supposed to pull. And we knew that this year was going to be extra difficult, that we were making some transitions and taking on some things that were a heavy lift. And I think everybody would agree that it's been a heavy lift, that we've worked really hard. And so I wanted to make sure that we timed this presentation at a time when we were able to really recognize staff and hear from them regarding that lift, because they've been amazing. They've impressed me. They've blown me away with their resiliency and the work that they've been able to put in this year, and all that they're doing. So we're all going to take some time and share a little bit of the work that we've been doing.
So thank you again for having us. It was super exciting to share the amazing work that our students and our staff have done with the Math is Cool. This next slide is looking at our goals that our teachers have set for our ESPA. And ESPA is taken in 3rd through 6th grade. And this is really kind of the finale that's done with assessments in those grade levels. And so we really wanted to work with the data that's come in to set goals that we think are achievable, and especially with the hard work that everybody has been doing. These goals have been set on a variety of factors. So we've said a 6% increase in both math and ELA. And this is really exciting because this is based on the cohort that's coming into these grade levels, the data around STAR, DIBELS, previous ESPA data, and then individual student data. So we're really excited to say, hey, we see an upwards trend in these goals, and this allows us to say, let's push our goals forward because we're really seeing positive growth within the data that's coming up with this cohort.
So we shared this image with you last week when you were with us as well. And when you wonder how we're doing this work and what we're trying to focus on, it's really all about alignment. It's about creating systems for students that are coherent, that a student moving through our system will understand the language that we're using, the instruction that we're using, that they'll be familiar enough with it that it just builds on itself as they go through our system. And so we were able to get into some classrooms last week and show you some of that coherence. And our goal today is to hear from some of our teachers and share some of the experiences they've had. Like I said, I hope they're gonna talk and say, hey, this has been great and this has felt great. It's been really, really hard work. They've lifted a lot and done a lot of work, but they're gonna share with you what that's meant for them and how that's impacted them in their work. Because that's really our goal, as we've shared with you over and over again. It's to get the work. We do a lot of work where we don't have students in the building to start our PLCs on Monday. They do a lot of work on their prep periods. We do a lot of meetings and PDs in the summer. But if that doesn't get to that classroom experience where students are in front of a teacher giving really, really coherent and high quality instruction, then it doesn't really make an impact on learning. And so they're gonna share a little bit about what their experience has been like and how it's facilitated and helped them in that effort to get that in front of students. So we wanna share a little bit about that teacher experience.
Hello. Oh, wow. You'll have to bear with me. It's really easy to talk in front of students, but adults are a whole nother story. So if I sound nervous, that's why. My name is Kayla Spohr. I'm a 3rd grade teacher at Hiawatha, and I was part of our target committee, where targets are part of our ELA curriculum now, where we have lumped all the standards together into these certain targets that cover all of them. So there's several standards for like main idea and key details. Target A covers all of those. Don't look that up, that's wrong, but you get it. So the target committee this year at Hiawatha, we've had one representative from grades 3 through 6, and we've met together probably about monthly. And our purpose was to develop a deeper understanding of each of these targets and establish clear and a consistent approach for introducing them to the students. One way we have done that was creating a common teaching script. That is a picture of it right there. The importance of a common teaching script for grades 3-6 is so we're using the same language while we're introducing the target. So while kids grow through our system, they don't learn something a different way with a different teacher. It's all very aligned. We've also created a common graphic organizer where students, when they are getting these target questions or deepening their understanding of a text, they have a graphic organizer to organize their thoughts. And again, as they grow through our system, it's the same 3-6. We know, and all the teachers have done this graphic organizer a little differently in their own way, but the language and the commonalities between them all are really aligned now. After the committee has met and created a script and a graphic organizer for a target, Then we use a PLC meeting with grades 3 through 6 to introduce or to show and model how to use the script and the graphic organizer. And then teams take that from us, what we've created, and practice it within their teams to hopefully make exemplars. One challenge I've had for developing these things is to make sure it's developmentally appropriate for when I introduce this to a 3rd grader versus a teacher using it for 6th grade. And I think we've done a really good job of creating the language the same and then having teams take that and run with it at their grade level. The success of this has been really great. I think you guys walked through and saw kind of the alignment that we've been working on with this stuff. And I've seen a lot of growth even from last year's students going into 4th grade have done really well. So we're really excited about being all aligned and having kids move through our system with success. I forgot about this one. These are some examples of the graphic organizers in teachers' classrooms, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. And so you can kind of see the similarities and differences in these, but they're all using the same language for students to organize their thinking when they get to these type of questions. Do you have any questions? Ask Will.
So would the students be encouraged to like write these out like even on a test and say, this is what I found, this is what I, yeah?
Yeah, so the 6th grade example is in their notebook where they have these. Hopefully I encourage my students, if it's taking too long to write, think about it in your head and write down what you can. At least it's a way for them to think, like, what is this question about? What is my evidence? What are my answer choices? So even as they grow through the system, maybe they start using the graphic organizers less, but the hope is they're still thinking through it.
And something we'll see often in some conversations I've been able to have with students is they'll say, well, I already know the answer. Why am I doing this? When you think about math, you remember your math teachers always said, like, well, we'll prove it. Like, show your work and check it. This allows them to do that in ELA too. So we'll see students that go right to the right side and they'll say, well, I know this answer. And we'll say, okay, so show your evidence over here and prove your answer. And so it really pushes their thinking and pushes them in new ways and makes ELA, which is a little more abstract in the past, a lot more concrete for them.
I want to make a connection for the board for a previous conversation that you all wouldn't have been a part of, but it will make sense to them. What you just heard was 2 and 3. Agreed upon strategies, effective strategies that demonstrate that they work for kids. And 3 is a guaranteed and viable curriculum. We're going to teach this stuff in this way so that the students aren't confused. There's enough to be confused about. So this is really an example of 2 and 3.
Hi, I'm Neri Vasquez. I teach 1st grade at Hiawatha. Confusion, I mean, that's something where you want to go back to the arrows. I'm looking that way because it's easier for me to see that one than that. I want to say, like, for a few years, we started doing a lot of, like, digging deeper into every single standard. But we didn't know exactly what that meant or what was the outcome, or what was going to be the end product. So we had a lot of like work from paper and pencil, but now it's like, what do we do with this? So then years passed by, we still had to match standards to the curriculum. And then we're like, okay, but still not so clear for our teacher clarity. Then after that, I'm still on the 1st and 2nd arrows right there. And then I want to say, back in 2022, 23, we upgraded from paper and pencil to Google Slides or Docs. And we knew what we wanted to do, but not exactly how to incorporate everything together. And then we had some work with priority standards. So we had all this stuff. Now it's like, how do we put it together so we can basically like present this to the students? Then we had Heggerty. You want to go to? Yeah. So we have phonemic awareness skills, which Heggerty is one of the books that I'm not sure who found that. And we've been teaching that. So we figured that from all of this work that we did, all of these standards on phonemic awareness are being taught by that book. So we teach that every day to a whole class. And then also really great reading has a lot of the phonics. So that also took care of all these other standards. It was like, you know what, we don't have to go back and match to the curriculum wonders that we had, because that was a lot of work trying to find other pieces that they were missing. So we're like, you know what, we already have that. Then someone came up with some slides, Mr. Fox or something like that. So so I'm like, what is that? Slides. That's a lot of work. How do we do that for first grade? And so we were like, okay. So my amazing team, which is Lauren, Melissa, and Deb, we all got together, and I'm like, now what standards are still missing? And we thought, hey, information and literature text. So from that, we went back to those priority standards, and then we found stories from Wonders, and we created slides, and that has a lot of asking and answering questions to identify main topics. And all of that stuff kind of goes when they move on to the upper grades for target work. And I'm not really familiar about all that stuff, but it goes from grade to grade. And so those slides are really like helpful for all the students. We all do fluency as well. We add some of that hard words and vocabulary. So now I feel that our arrows have moved in a totally different way. So I feel that we're kind of like in the middle now. And we have 31 stories already planned. So I feel so proud of our team and the support that we have in the classroom or in the school from Melissa, Will, and Jesse. And it's been a great year. We still have a lot of work to do, but I know we can do it. So, any questions?
So
Wow.
just to expound a little bit on what you just heard her share, which is just super impressive. You see that team up there. It's kind of a miracle. They're all so young and vibrant, but they've taught for a long time, and they've taught for a long time together. And they kind of knew what they were doing, and they've been in there doing that work for a long time. But as we built coherence in some of those upper grades, they didn't say, well, we're going to keep doing our own thing. They said, we serve these same students. We need to tie into that. We need to support that. So what she just described was really building those coherence down to like the format of the slides that they use. They said, hey, we see this fantastic Mr. Fox slideshow. We want it to look the same. So that when our first graders go to second grade and then to third grade, they say, oh, we're familiar with this. We know how it's going. So this team just really, really incredible. They've been together for a long time. They've all taught for a really long time. But they were willing to say, hey, we're here for kids. We're going to switch it up. We're going to do something different, and we're going to put in a ton of time. They put in a ton of time to build this and to really, and they're always iterating. They're always saying, okay, we've done this. This is working. This isn't quite working. We're going to add this component. We need to add this or change this or tweak this and improve. So it's been really, really impressive.
Any questions?
I was just going to comment. My daughter was in Mr. Jensen's class last year, but I know she went to Miss Martinez for like reading groups, and they moved around between the teachers, and I was really impressed by how they did all that. Just exactly what you're saying. So.
Okay, I'm Nikki Sams, and I teach 5th grade at Hiawatha. So my point for us is the exemplar planning. So when you looked back at what Kayla was talking about with the script and the ELA targets, all of our teams are basically like doing backwards planning when they have an exemplar. The exemplar is giving, the teachers create the exemplar with the end in mind, is what we're doing. And when we do that, it's what we want, our exemplar is what we want the students to produce. So we're coming up with, like, looking at the targets for ELA and for math. What do they need to show us that we know that what they understand? It makes our teaching more intentional when we know what the end in mind is. And it gives us a clear instruction or a clear focus for our instruction. We do that in ELA when we have our PLC meetings. During those meetings, 3 through 6th grade, after when we go over the targets as a team, we'll create an exemplar for some of the questions. And then in math, we do the same thing when we're planning ahead. We'll come up with some exemplars for some of the targets of the questions that we know that the students are going to struggle with, so we come up with exemplars of what that should look like. We do the same thing in writing. Writing is a big focus for us this year, in addition to all the other things. This year, the writing committee has we started it last year, and we've kind of been building on it as we're going. So when Will says that we've been doing a lot of work, we have been doing a lot of work. But in the writing committee, we basically, as a team, we are taking like the target for writing, we're coming up with exemplars for the notes, exemplars for what their research questions should look like, and then we come up with what the essay should look like with their outline, essay, and then we come up with a rubric at the end. And I feel like that really helps us like be on the same page. It helps us with our teaching. When teams are doing that, it makes a very powerful impact on our students and their learning.
So just one thing before we move on to Melissa that I wanted to highlight, and I forgot to kind of preface with this. When we look at these arrows, in all the boxes, you have some arrows going up and doing really good things. And regardless of whether you're really well systematized and aligned or not, almost every system you go to can have what we call pockets of excellence. You'll have these little pieces of somebody doing really, really good work. But when it's not systematized, it stays in those really isolated pockets. And so as you hear these three talk about the work that the teachers are doing, we didn't pull them in here just because they're a pocket of excellence. They're just representative of what really all of our teams are doing. I think these were just the ones that really like public speaking, so we invited them. But really, when Nikki talks about, when she says we, she's not just talking about her, she's not just talking about our 5th grade team, she's talking about the system as a whole, creating exemplars. The lesson planning that Nettie is doing, a kindergarten teacher could absolutely speak in the same way about that work. And Nikki is actually part of the target committee that Kayla spoke of as well. So really, this is a system-wide approach. Which is really, really exciting, and it's key. We could come up and have board meeting after board meeting and just show you the highlights, but this is really something that's happening throughout the system. So that's what's really making an impact.
One more comment to connect a dot for the board. What Mrs. Sams described with the exemplar work is what we were talking about previously with proficiency scales. This is what excellence looks like. Here's some places where kids commonly make an error, and I'm going to be prepared for that, and this is what it might look like. And these are the things we agreed to teach and plan. So that evidence of planning and requiring about being that coherent requires that PLC and common prep and all those things that can be a heavier lift in a secondary setting.
Good evening, I'm Melissa Rocha. It's very awkward talking with a microphone. I feel like I'm loud enough without it. Where these gals had the opportunity to talk to you about the teacher experience in what we've been working on in our system, I get the opportunity to highlight the student experience. I was able to go around and catch our students in action and highlight some of the awesome things that they're doing in the classroom. So although I didn't get the opportunity for time's sake to highlight every single grade level, we do have a span of kindergarten through 6th grade here. I believe we have kinder 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 6th highlighted in this video. And it's gonna showcase for you some of the things in action that these gals have spoken about. The video is gonna highlight students engaged in writing, some of the foundational reading work that Nettie had spoke to, and also our reading comprehension or target work. So as you're watching this, I would challenge you to see if you can see some of the pieces as they go through that are interconnected. There are some pieces that are kind of a standalone, but I'm confident that you'll find some things that you'll be able to find the connections with.
Dinosaurs have...
Oh, flip back. Dinosaurs have... Flip, flip, flip. What did we circle?
Feathers.
Feathers. That's right. Feathers. So there's our next star idea. Feathers. Flip back. Digraph. TH.
Can you read those for me? With your topic, what does yours say so far?
Good, Andres. Yes. Feathers. What's the last sound? Feathers.
Dinosaurs have babies.
Yes, Martha.
Good job.
Feathers. ready and listening to the vowel. Here we go. First word is mold. Mold. What's the vowel sound in mold? O. We're going to change the O to I. What's the word?
You know the word. Okay, word or phrase. So what am I going to write right here? Turn and tell your neighbor. Okay, we definitely, what do we put in the middle box? Evidence. Okay, and what about the next box? Choices, or answer, put the answer choices.
We did two different research questions. I didn't finish the other one. And so for the subject, I got recycling again, and then I got the evidence from source 2. And for evidence, I got soda cans are made of aluminum.
What kind of question are you working on right now?
Text analysis.
How do you guys know it's a text analysis question?
Because of the plot.
What does it say specifically?
Michael's action. It describes how Michael's action adds to the plot.
Oh, so it's about how it adds to the plot, so that gives you a clue? So what kind of evidence are you guys looking for?
Michael's actions, like what causes the story to get a little bit more exciting.
Okay, so how his actions cause the story to get more exciting? Chloe, what's some evidence that you already have?
Almost got hypothermia.
Michael left the area. He was staring at to find a signal on the radio and to leave clues that they're at the area.
Okay, so that gave you some more evidence. Okay, thank you for sharing.
When they got out, Michael has not had a panic attack.
He hasn't.
Oh, can I
There's-
add on to that?
Yeah, you want to add on?
What Daniel said is true. Only when he's in a tight spot, he really gets nervous. Because when he was out in the open trying to find his way through and not die, he wasn't having really a panic attack. Only when it was a close area.
Josue, what do you think?
So I'm curious, did anybody see anything that was common across any of the grade levels?
The organizers?
Yes, the organizers. I think if you heard our third grade teacher talking about subject, we heard the word evidence throughout our third grade, and then even our fifth grade student with her research questions, subject and evidence, and then our sixth grade students articulating how they know what this question is about and what evidence they're finding through there. Just a couple of other pieces you might not have caught onto is our kindergarten student was writing their topic and their little star ideas, and in our fifth graders note-taking organizer, there were stars on there that links to the star ideas. So that's a common language when we're talking kindergarten through sixth grade, talking about informational writing in that way and organizing those ideas. And then our first grade lesson was kind of one of our standalones. She was practicing some of the phonemic awareness work, and our K2 has been working on aligning our gestures and the way we're introducing those things as well.
Any questions so far or comments? Okay, so this is another framework that you guys have seen a lot of. I know that we've shown it to you. I know Pete's shown it to you. I've seen it in various board meetings. And this has really been a focus for us year after year, is to make sure first that we are focusing on those precursors to success, that we're trying to learn our systems, and I'd be amiss to pretend that we're inventing all of this stuff. One of our philosophies, and I know the philosophy of the district, is to build by borrowing. A lot of these things came from other systems and other programs that we said, hey, we know this is being successful, so let's bring it to Hiawatha and see how it fits with our students and our teachers and make it work in our system. So that's part of moving across that line to that learning and leading components. And so we're really excited for the work that we've done and what we've been able to learn and the results that it's showing us. And by no means do we think, hey, we've arrived and we've just got to keep running. There's things that are coming down, and Jesse's going to share with you a little bit of like where we see our next steps.
So it's exciting to hear what's happening. I'm just going to kind of do an overview of what I've heard today and what I see every day and within the classroom and how it aligns to our leadership outcomes. For our kindergarten through 2nd grade and also 3rd grade, we've been really focusing on foundational reading, which is really being able to know our letter names and sounds, decode, and then transfer that to being able to be fluent and to be able to read on grade level. Our teams, like Nedia talked about it, they're aligning those slides. The alignment in the resources is now leading to what's happening in those instructional and practices within the classroom. I think what that shows us is that we're at that learning stage, but kind of at a really promising trajectory especially with the data that we're seeing. It's really exciting to see where our students are coming out of kinder, 1st, and moving into 2nd and 3rd grade, which will really help lead to on grade level readers by 3rd grade. Along with our writing, we heard as well, there's really intentional alignment throughout the building on those writing pieces, and that again puts us in that trajectory of the learning to that leading. We're really excited for the work that's happening from the K2 along with that 3-6 target work. It's really intentional, it's really purposeful, and the alignment that's not only happening within the grade levels, but within the, within the building K6 is so important. So as our students move throughout those grade levels, they're getting that really solid instruction that's really powerful for those students to see throughout those grade levels.
So we shared with you in the beginning that goal. Does anybody remember what the goals were for the end of the year?
+6%.
Yeah, Miles is on it. Look at that. Yeah. So +6% in both of those. We're really excited to already be looking. Sorry, I forgot the slide was in here. When we think about that, this is really the trend and the trajectory of Hiawatha over the last 10 years. And you see some dips and some valleys, but really when you look at it, it's pretty flat. The trajectory is pretty flat overall, and it's been really predictable. And so that +6% and saying, hey, we're going to intentionally, we know why it's happening, we're going to do this, we're going to see a 6% jump is really exciting for us to look at as a staff. And right now, as this is mid-year data, so this is all in like December and January. I know some of you are familiar with effect size and John Hattie's work. So far at mid-year in January, we had an average effect size of 0.3 for the building, which translates to being on track for a 1.5 years worth of growth for all of our students. So closing some of those gaps and closing those from behind, those students that are maybe behind grade level, closing some of those gaps. And so far in ELA and math, we already have a +8% growth in average ELA star from 2nd to 6th, and a 5% average growth in math. Now, something to note is you didn't hear us talk about any of like building initiatives and things like that around math, but we're seeing growth in math. And it's not it's because our teachers are working really, really hard in math. We haven't had a lot of capacity and time because all of this takes up a lot of time. You heard them talk about PLCs, we have sub-out days, we have a whole bunch of stuff happening in ELA. But it's just a testament to our teachers and their focus. What I've seen is they've come to me and said, hey, they've felt this higher level of clarity in ELA, and they've said, we need that in math too. So a lot of the work they're doing that's showing this 5% growth in math is just coming from them doing extra work in their teams and saying, hey, we need to get this extra clarity. The exemplar work, heard Nikki talk about the exemplar work her team's doing in math. A lot of teams are doing very similar work and getting more coherent and clear around math. And we're excited that in the coming years, we're going to have more capacity to make that aligned throughout the building as well. So we feel that we're right on track and to meet and I honestly think we're going to exceed 6% in both of those areas by the end of the year in ESPA. This is STAR, so it's not ESPA, but when we looked at the predictability of it and things like that, and then have also triangulated it with some of our interim assessments, we think not only are we going to grow this because of STAR, but also I think we're closing the gap between STAR and ESPA a little bit, so I think it's going to be higher than 6% in both of these. So we're really excited to be on that right track and to be intentionally moving it from that learning into that leading category with outcomes for our kids. As I think about the strategic plan, that we focus on belonging, we're focusing on academic achievement. Our students are engaged at higher levels because their instruction is coherent and they're feeling successful. They want to be at school because they feel a level of success, because they're reading at higher levels. The data is just rolling in from our latest assessments. So we didn't make the slideshow that Marisa made me turn in last week. But already, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, our third grade, like a 25% jump in kids that are fluently reading from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Our second grade's putting out 10%, a 10% jump when compared to last year's cohort, and kids that are moving into third grade as readers. Fourth grade, I just saw, I don't know it off the top of my head, I just saw the email from Melissa. She's going through data, huge jumps all the way through. So our whole system, and that's just the decoding, they're able to access these texts and then engage at higher levels with these organizers and these processes that these teachers are putting through. So years and years ago, at Hiawatha, we got together and we said, what are we all about? What are our core values? And I'm not going to go through each of them. I think we've shown them to you year after year after year. But just how much these staff, and like I said, they're just examples of our whole staff, have leaned into these core values and said, hey, we're going to do what we can to ensure high quality instruction for every single student. We're going to engage in professional growth. We're willing to put in the extra time. We're willing to put in the extra effort, and just stay engaged when it's really, really hard and it's really, really stressful. And like I said, it's been a stressful year. It's been hard. They've put in a lot of extra. And with everything else going on in the district, it's kind of layered on some extra stresses, but they've stayed focused and they've stood between the stress and our students. And they've been just amazing, amazing teachers. So I'm really proud to be a part of this staff and to be there to support them and to work side by side with them. And I'm grateful that they were able to come here today and highlight some of their work. So yeah, that's Hiawatha and where we're at right now. So any questions or comments? We're here for a couple more minutes.
I want to start with a big shout out to my Senora Vasquez, obviously. She was my kindergarten Spanish teacher at Lurucaga still. And from the learning I still did over there, I still take it till today. I have my rainbow letters in my head all the time, if you know, when you upgrade every time. And so seeing frecuentes. So yeah, seeing that translating into all the grades is really nice. I know at the high school too, sometimes it gets a little bit difficult with, you know, having people with the college level classes and all the things. So seeing that there's a way to translate, at least from kinder to sixth grade, I think we can also apply that over here as well. Hopefully that can come up with us. And it just props to you guys for, again, making that work. You know, to me, I think, you know, when I was in kinder versus sixth grade, it's kind of like baby food to me, but then you guys put the organizers together and kind of make it work well. And obviously we're seeing a good jump in scores and all the things as well. Yeah, good job to all of you guys. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
I want to be Miles when I grow up. Thank you so much for having us. My one question Will answered when he was talking about math and kind of the path forward. Thank you so much for having us. It's always fun to come to Hiawatha. We're all Thunderbirds. Your guys' staff, everybody is so great and so welcoming, and the students are amazing. Having your Math is Cool team here tonight, like, I don't know that Aiden kid, but he's my new bestie. Love him so much. So yeah, thank you for your presentation tonight and all of the work that goes into that, and for you guys showing up, and not just showing up tonight here for us, but showing up every day for all of the kids at Hiawatha and around the district that really, you change their lives. So, I mean, Miles is a great example of a great teacher. So thank you guys so much.
As you know, I have a daughter at Hiawatha. I went to Hiawatha. Some of my teachers and coaches are still there. Some of my classmates are teaching there now. We really just think you're doing a great job, and please let us know how we can help support that progress. So.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you. At this time, we will transition into our public comments. Looks like we have one from Rosa Antonio.
Hello.
I'm going to help her translate. I don't know what she's going to say, but
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Rosa Antonio y soy madre de familia de Josué.
okay, good evening. She's Rosa Antonio. She's Josue's mom.
Quiero darle las gracias a la escuela Hiawatha y al director.
I want to give thanks to Hiawatha Elementary School and the principal. I did not know what she was going to say.
Y porque ellos siempre está pendiente de tanto de sus alumnos como de su personal.
They're always aware of their students as well as their staff.
En cualquier caso de que haya de hablar con él, él siempre busca la forma en que pueda uno hablar con él.
And they're always aware, and they always, in any case, they're available. And if there's any time when they need to talk to him, then he makes time to talk.
Tanto como también las que están enfrente de la escuela para hablar, siempre tienen un buen modo, una manera de tratar a los padres para hablar con ellos.
Also, the front office staff are always available, and they have a great presence, and they make people feel welcome, and they allow them to talk to them.
Tanto ellas como los maestros son buenas personas para estar con ellos, tratar como los padres para poder hablar con ellos.
Them as well as the staff, they're always available, and they are very kind, and they let us speak to them, and they make time to talk.
Y uno como padre le da un gusto y una satisfacción poder saber que ellos están al pendiente de nuestros hijos y poder contar con ellos.
As a parent, it makes me happy, and it comforts me to know that they're aware of my children and that they are always making time to support them.
Y muchas gracias a ustedes también por tener el tiempo de escucharnos, y a ellos les agradezco mucho.
And thank you all as well for taking the time to listen to us, and we thank you so much.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna say something for myself.
Okay.
I'm a 6th grader. I'm gonna go to junior high. So these were good 7 years that I've been in Hiawatha. And Miss King and Mr. Brown Brock, they're very nice.
Aww.
They're nice to all their students.
I have to ask you, who is your favorite teacher?
She's not here. She's retiring this year. She was my kindergarten teacher, Miss Damaris.
And what makes her your favorite teacher?
She's very nice and very nice to all her students.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Le quiero dar las gracias por venir a decirnos de las personas en la escuela. Sé que a veces es muy duro para querer venir a hablar aquí por no tener el lenguaje o algo. Le damos mucho gracias al señor Guillermo por dar la oportunidad de que vengan gentes y puedan hablar con él. Pero muchas gracias a usted por venir, y recuérdese que esta mesa directiva que está aquí siempre está para ayudarles en lo que podemos.
Muchas gracias.
De nada. Well, if you'd like to translate that, you could.
Thank you so much. We are moving on to upcoming events. April 7th through 11th is spring break. April 14th is our next regular scheduled board meeting. The 21st is our, our final DOHS site visit. And then April 28th will be another regular scheduled board meeting. Is there anything else that needs to be added to our calendar? I don't think so.
Just any potential interviews for another candidate, but that
Yeah.
would be here. So.
We would do that the 28th before our board meeting? Okay. If nothing else, we will move on to our board self-assessment of the meeting. I'll kick us off by saying I'm so grateful for Hiawatha for bringing their students, for Math is Cool, and for also giving us a really great presentation. Tons of work, tons of thought, effort, all of the things. So thank you so much to Hiawatha for everything that they contributed to our meeting tonight.
We had a really great board visit with Hiawatha the other day, and there was lots of good things said. And even when there was a concern brought up, it was always about the students.
Yep.
The staff and teachers were always, it was something they were worried about how it was going to affect the students. And so I just really admire them for that. They're really focused on their students, which now should be said.
I just wasn't able to make it to Hiawatha this year, but to just have a mom come in and praise the staff, the principals, and everything, just that tells me enough. Even if I didn't get to go, you guys are doing a great job, and thank you.
Public comment isn't usually a positive thing.
I know.
That was good.
That was my favorite public comment ever. And we had a student do a public comment for the first time ever, since I've been on the board anyway.
And Miles being on point today.
Yep.
I'd also like to mention, it's also nice to see other people out in the crowd. I just need to point out Mr. Gamma from SkillSource Learning Center. That I've noticed you've been here the last couple meetings, so it's good that.
Yes, welcome. Thank you.
I'd also like to add that, we say that Miles standalone student, but I like that it's a thing to have, a nice accolade, but it's also good to see that we're preparing students for that to be the normal instead of just, us being the star students, especially with Mrs. Vasquez and the entire Hiawatha team. It was really nice to see that the standards and stuff that I learned on is now what's going to go through all the grades, and hopefully more people can come up and be the star students.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Okay, does anyone have anything else? If not, this meeting is